Hi folks, this is Mona. I'm back. I thought I would do a short video on beads, just beads, not beading, but the kinds of beads that are out there, the sizes, the types and finishes. And so just to begin, I'd like to show you a difference between the larger beads that you can use when doing your beading loom work. This right here is a size 10. So they're a larger bead that you can use. And then here is a size 13 for reference. Now, the higher the number of the bead is, the smaller it is. And the lower the number, the bigger it is. It's really strange. There is a reason. If you Google it, you can look up the reason why there's different sizes. So anyways, this is a size 13. This is a size 10. So that's reference. And here I'm putting this one on the other end of the spectrum. Right there. And here's on this side of the spectrum. Now in between, we have size 11. Right here. And I'll show you again for reference. This is an 11 compared to a 13. Okay. And here is a size 12 compared to a 13. Unfortunately, I don't have anything smaller than 13, but there are bead sizes that go as low as, or as high as 22. So there's a reference, okay. Now, there are different kinds of beads. There's Delica, Miyuki, Check, and Tri-Cut. And within those types of beads, there is subgroups, like, say, for instance, the Charlotte True Cut of Check. Charlotte Cut, or True Cut, has facets on the side of its cut on the side of the bead. So it creates that really glittery, beautiful shine that you can get. Now, here for reference again, this is just an opaque bead, the same size. And these are check beads because they are wider than they are tall, and they have rounder edges. So if you can see right here, these are the same color, but the treatment's different because this is a true cut and this is just plain opaque. An opaque is described as being you can't see through the bead. So you wouldn't be able to see the thread, once you used it. So that's one type of bead. Here's another set of beads. This is another opaque right here, which is a size 11. And then right next to it is an opalescent. So the treatment of the beads, again, kind of will give you different, types, just depending on how you want to use them. Now here is what they call silver lined. This means that the bead is got silver lining inside of the bead, but the outside is transparent. So you can see through. You still get the color, but you can see kind of more of a shinier. And I have two different types right here. Here's like a fire colors, which are so beautiful. I love those kind of beads. Okay, and another example right here. These are both size 11s, so these are kind of in the middle. These are a good size to use when, for beginners. I would recommend using 11 or 10 for beginners because it's a little bit easier to use and handle. But these are just regular check beads. And then right next to it is the Tri-Cut, or the True Cut, the Charlotte, or it's also called Charlotte. And if you can see as I'm moving my hand around, I mean, this is shiny, but this one shines more because it's got those little facets on the side of it. Right here. Okay. Now, here's another type of bead called a tri-cut or a three-cut, which seems to be pretty popular. You can see they kind of look more like, I don't know how to describe them, but here's two different types. I mean, they're very beautiful. They shine. And here is a size 12, and then these are size 11s right here. And this is a size 12. This one right here has a treatment called the rainbow or AB. So if you see an AB on that, it means Aurora Borealis. And it just is a treatment that they give to the bead that causes it to kind of have more of a rainbow effect on the outside, as opposed to this is just this is not an opaque. It looks like it's kind of a semi-translucent one, and it's cut on all sides. So these are a lot different to use. And here is a vintage. These are vintage. These were my grandmother's beads, so she must have purchased them, over 40 years ago. These are an opaque, and they're vintage, and they're not quite exactly sure, but you can tell with the vintage beads, they're not uniformed in size. There's all different kinds of size, and these are really good to use when you're doing flat work, flat stitching, like 2 needles, flat stitch, because it's just easier to pick out the neat size that you need. And then here's Bugle, and this one has like a treatment on it too, like a rainbow treatment. So you can see these are bugle beads. These are the shorter bugle beads. And here's a longer bugle bead. And to show you how you can use these all together, I have my own beadwork that I did. This is a medallion I did for my husband. And as you can see, I utilized all different types of beads. I have the translucent ones, opaque. I have the tri-cut right here and the reds. And then I use the bugle beads around the edges. So this is something that I did, and I kind of combined a lot of different types of beads. So you can do that, but you just have to be aware that when you're combining different types of beads, it's good to make sure they're all uniformed in size, because that can cause you trouble later on when you're trying to put the beads together. And so this is just an example of what I've done using the different kinds of beads. And look how shiny and pretty it is. Isn't it beautiful? I love this medallion I made for him. So, and I used pony beads and these other types to finish off the necklace. So there we go. And also, we have this other type of bead called it's a Japanese seed bead, a delica, and it's good for flat peyote and loom work. The differences with these Japanese seed beads is that the holes are bigger. The holes are bigger on the inside, so you don't have to really worry, about the size of needle that you have. And then that can take us right into the needles. Right here, we have a type of needle. John James is the best, I believe, to be using for any kind of beadwork. These are what they call long needles. These are good for loom work. Never done loom work, and I've been beading for 20 years. And then we have another type of needle. John James again. You can order these online. These are sharps, and these are the shorter needles. And these are good for, oops, can you see that? There we go. These sharps are good for, see, they're shorter in length. They're a little bit more sturdier. These are a size 11, so they're a lot thicker than the size 13s, as you can see. And these are good for flat work, bead embroidering, they call it. And then, we have the threads, and there are different size of threads that you need to correlate, use for the types of beads that you're using. So if you're using a check bead, a seed bead, it would be good to stay with the size B, and you can go up to a D, to with a check bead or the Japanese delicas. But if you're going to be going smaller and using size 13 beads, you should probably go on the smaller end. And I do believe that the thread for the smallest thread you can get is a 0. And then it goes A, B, C, and D, which D is the thickest, and the 0 is the thinnest that you can use. And 0 would be good if you're using size 18, 22's beads, But if you're just starting out, I would recommend starting in the middle right here, with the size 11 is a really good size to use if you're just beginning. And so then we have all of your instruments. We have your thread, your beeswax, which you need to use, and your needles. And that's all you really need to start beading. And I would recommend, I've gathered all of my beads from all over the place, but you can get them online at many different places. All you got to do is, Google seed beads, and there's a whole bunch of different kinds of places to order from. You can even order them off Amazon. I personally like to go to use Shipwreck Beads or Crazy Crow. Crazy Crow has a really good interface to use. It's really easy. They kind of have everything condensed. Shipwreck is a little bit, if you do know exactly what you're looking for, Shipwreck is good, and they have a very good variety. Crazy Crow has a smaller variety, but they have an easier interface to use if you're not quite sure what you're looking for. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you.